either Corbyn or Keir Starmer sort of realignment politics, in the same way that we saw a realignment politics in Scotland, Labour losing their heartlands there. We could be seeing something very similar in the North East and Midlands, which has very little to do with whether Keir Starmer is leader or Jeremy Corbyn is leader. It's just that we have a demographic shift in these seats. If you look at Hartlepool, you look at a lot of seats in the North East. Over the last 20 years, the demographics have become a lot older. A lot of younger people have moved out of the areas to the big cities. A lot more homeowners in those areas. The demographics are much more favourable to Conservatives than they were before. The question for Labour is what do they do to resolve that? Because if they can't appeal to those voters, then they've got no chance at all of forming the next government.
Gosh, all very dramatic stuff, but here's the big question for us here at BBC Radio London, which is why do we in London vote so diametrically differently from those in the rest of the country? Because it looks as if our Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan is going to come thumping back with a resounding victory here. So why is it that we vote along different lines?
Yes, well, there was some nervousness from the Sadiq Khan campaign yesterday. They were briefing that turnout in London was very low, and they believed that things could be a lot closer than the polls suggest. But I think it'd be pretty remarkable if we had anything other than a significant Sadiq Khan win when the results finally come in. Again, I think a large part of it comes down to demographics. London is a lot younger than the rest of the country. There's a lot more university-educated people living in London. All of these factors are sort of the main determinants of how people vote.
Why should it be that if you went to university, you're more likely to vote Labour?
Well, that's just what the data shows us, is that in areas where there are more university graduates, people tend to vote Labour, tend to vote less towards the Conservatives. In seats where there is a younger demographic, I mean, that's why in the areas where Labour have actually made gains in recent years, like in Canterbury, for instance, that's where we've seen that demographic shift, where the population has become younger, has become more university graduates have settled in the area. That's where we've seen Labour make gains. And in the areas where the opposite happens, such as Hartlepool, where we've seen young people leave and the population become older as a whole, we've seen a shift towards the Conservatives.
Thank you very much for talking to Zana Bienkov, their senior politics editor at Insider and Business Insider. Take it, Trevor.
BBC Radio London.
We are now in the next stage of the government's roadmap out of lockdown.
So here's a summary of the changes.
Non-essential retail plus the following services are now able to reopen.
Personal care such as hairdressers and nail salons.
Libraries and community centres.
Outdoor hospitality venues with table service only.
Outdoor attractions including zoos, theme parks and drive-in performances such as cinemas and concerts.
Care home residents can nominate 2 named individuals for regular indoor visits subject to a rapid lateral flow test.
Indoor leisure and sport facilities are open for individual exercise or with your household or support bubble.
Self-contained accommodation for overnight stays in England with your household or support bubble are also available.
However, you should continue to minimise the amount of travel you make and work from home where possible.
You must not meet indoors with anybody you do not live with unless they are part of your support bubble.
And for outdoor gatherings, the rule of 6 still applies.
For the latest details of how the coronavirus rules affect you,
Go to gov.uk
and keep listening to BBC Radio London
for news and information.
BBC Radio London.
Now, I've been looking forward to this bit of the show all morning, ever since Greg Mackenzie said to me, just wait till you hear this. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you will enjoy it very much too. Our next guest on BBC Radio London holds the accolade of being one of the oldest people in the whole country. Elizabeth Ratcher from Mitcham turned 106 years old yesterday. A very happy birthday to her. She has lived through both World Wars and she survived the COVID pandemic. Our Greg Mackenzie went to meet her and find out the secret of her long life.
Happy birthday to you.
Born in 1915, Elizabeth Ratcher is one of the oldest people in the UK. She's lived through 2 world wars and most recently is one of the first people to be fully vaccinated against COVID.
In 1944, a bomb with no driver, you know, one of these buzz bombs, hit my house in Barn Road and buried me underneath the debris.
She lives in southwest London, puts her longevity down to a simple sip of the good stuff once a day.
I do have a brandy every day, if I can. They even give it to me in the hospital.
And you've had an incredible life. You've lived through 2 world
Yes.
wars.
I was born, yes, in Battersea in 1915. And my father was in the army, and I lived with my mother, and I had 2 brothers younger than me. What did you want to know about my life?
Yeah, everything. Tell me, I mean, where did you start? How have you managed to live so long? What's your secret? She's surrounded by her family and carers, all of whom are in her social bubble.
Right, I'm Carol Drury, I'm Mum's daughter.
Me.
This has just arrived in the post and it's the card from the Queen, and it says, "It gives me great pleasure to send you my sincere congratulations and best wishes on the occasion of your 106th birthday on the 6th of May 2021. Elizabeth R."
And she signed that. That's from
She's
the
actually-
Queen.
Yes, that's from the Queen, isn't it, Mum?
And how do you feel, Carol? Mum's 106.
Well, I just hope I've inherited her genes. Shame I don't like brandy, really. There you go.
And seeing Mum 106, I mean, it's fascinating.
106, it's a fantastic age. It really is. And she's done so well.
And having her here independently, that's important.
It is. I've lived abroad for some years, and so I've managed to get back to see her as often as I can. But she's kept going well until last year, till she had a fall, fractured her hip. So she now has a new hip at 105, and she's carrying on doing well.
And today will be a special day. She'll have many people have been turning up, giving flowers, cards.
Flowers, cards, numerous bottles of brandy, lots of lovely friends and relatives and neighbours. She's been overwhelmed today. I think it's all a bit too much for her, but she's enjoying it really. I'm sure she is.
I am really. I can't believe you're in.
No, it's exciting, isn't it?
Elizabeth has now had 3 cards from the Queen during her lifetime and is hoping for a 4th one this time next year.
I've had a good life. I feel like Frank Sinatra. I did it my way.
What a delightful person, and Greg Mackenzie really is all lit up inside from having spent time with her. He says she's absolutely magnificent in every way. Elizabeth Rector from Mitcham returned 106 years old yesterday. Kate Kinsella joins us with the weekend weather. Hello Kate, good morning.
Good morning. Well, despite it being quite a chilly start this morning, temperatures are still in single figures. We have plenty of sunshine, and already it's feeling a little bit better. We've lost the breeze to a certain extent today, and we pick up a southwesterly flow, so it's actually going to feel a little bit warmer today, despite any showers that might develop this afternoon. Temperatures reaching 14 Celsius, which doesn't sound amazing, but it will feel better. Now, overnight tonight, once the sun sets, the temperature will drop quite quickly. 4 to 7 Celsius the minimum, but we've got a low pressure system taking charge. It's dragging in some milder air as we head through the night and into Saturday, so actually the temperature will rise by the time we get to Saturday morning, but it also means the cloud will increase, the wind will strengthen, and it will turn very wet. So we've got some wet and windy weather first thing for the weekend, for Saturday morning. It will push northeastwards through the course of the day, becoming showery in the afternoon, but staying largely cloudy. Temperatures tomorrow reaching 17 Celsius, so even milder despite the wind and the rain. We lose the rain overnight into Sunday, and it is looking largely dry for Sunday itself. There's a risk of maybe 1 or 2 thundery showers, but like I say, largely dry with some sunny spells, and the temperature on Sunday getting up potentially to 21 Celsius, so warmer still. That's your forecast.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Let's move on to the really distasteful and upsetting subject of Islamophobia. Worshippers have been pelted with eggs outside an East London mosque in what police have described as a truly appalling attack. 5 people were hit outside the Ilford Islamic Centre on Tuesday. MP for Ilford South, Sam Tarry, tweeted he was shocked and saddened by the Islamophobic attack. The attack comes as worshippers mark Ramadan, which ends next week. From the programme, Idris Patel, CEO of Supporting Humanity, which is a charity working to support the Muslim community. This is such a depressing and distressing story, isn't it, Idris? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, it is a little bit saddening, especially within the East End, where we have a great spirit of community belief. We're very diverse in the area normally, and we generally tend to work very closely with all people of all different faiths.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's a minority and not a majority, and it's very, very important, especially for the Muslim community, where I've spoke about this yesterday to the other people, to say we don't need to react to this, and it's a minority of people trying to sort of provoke the wrong sort of actions. But and we're hoping the police and the councillors and other members of the community will come together and resolve this issue.
I mean, how do you resolve the issue? Because it would seem, wouldn't it, that it's an opportunistic thing. It's kind of like, okay, let's go make some trouble. All right, what should we do? Let's go and, you know, agitate somebody on the basis of their faith or their ethnicity. Do we know where they are? Actually, we do know, because it's Ramadan, so we know where they're likely to be. Okay, let's go and take some eggs and throw them. I mean, how do you possibly legislate to stop something like that?
There's two ways for me.